Hi everyone, it's Deb. I'm here to show you my latest journal that I created. It was just me having fun. I've got some seam binding that I dyed. I dyed one side. As you can see, it's been stitched. There's pink and the other side is white. And that's what I've used to wrap around the journal. It's got beautiful, like a really beautiful wedding lace here. And it's attached to some tulle. And then I added this on the back. And it's stitched all the way around on really, really heavy cardstock. So we'll go inside. So I used a beautiful trim here. Get my sleeves out of the way. Beautiful trim here. It's a beautiful lace. And I added a couple of my digitals and added some lace and some a muslin and cheesecloth underneath. And I stitched it on the sewing machine. So that's in there. You can tuck lots of things in there. Here's some scrapbook paper. On this side, I had folded it over to create the tuck and added the word beautiful. This is just ephemera. Coffee dyed on the back. All the ephemera, I believe, in my journal is from the Graphics Fairy, other than from me. And this is scrapbook paper. I added a ruffle with muslin and a white lace. And on this side I used my paper ruffles that I made. I have a video on that. And this is one of my cards in my, it's one of my digitals. This here I believe is, I think it's from the Graphics Fairy. I don't think it's mine. It might be. I don't think so though. Graphics Fairy, I think. So there's music paper, which is actually scrapbook paper. And on this side I used all of my flower images like this are from this book. Just so that you know. And I put in a little piece of ephemera from one of my digitals here, and it's got coffee dye on the back. Oops. This is one of my digitals. On this side it's one of my digitals underneath here, and I did a flip, added a stamp, got a couple of tickets, and I sewed a little booklet together of graph paper. This graph paper has a pink tinge to it. I love it. This is one of my stamped fabric belly bands. I also did a video on that. Here's a bird, and I stitched all the way around and added paper to the back for you to journal on. Here I've added some trim, and the trim had the trim had all of the gosh, it slipped my mind. Pearls. Wow. It's a pearl trim with little flowers that I put to the top. I added some beautiful lace here. I don't know if you can really see that well. I'll just hold it up. And I added some pearls there. This is from one of my digitals, and I added the word peace, which is another one of my digitals. This scrapbook paper, I added a little tab with a button, and here is a bulb pin, and I did a little bit of jewelry making here. I'm not the best jeweler, but I did make these. They're cute. And that's the scrapbook paper. This is also scrapbook paper that I've collaged on, and I made a pocket here, so a pocket to hold this little booklet, and I've hinged it with muslin and stitched right through the middle and added all these papers for you to journal on. I've done some stenciling here. I've also done some inking. I used an envelope and did some inking. So I thought I'd save that. It worked perfectly in this journal. So it's an envelope that you can add your own things to. And in behind this, I've tucked in one of my digitals. Here's a index card that I've torn. There is scrapbook paper here, and it says it's the little things in life. On the other side, it has one of my digitals, and I've got some ruffled paper that I did. Here's a journaling card. I've added a little pull to the top, more stenciling. I punched the edge, more stenciling, scrapbook paper. Here's a hostess check of mine, and there is cardstock on the back to make it strong. I've stitched all the way around. Here is music paper. This is basically a flip, but I haven't used it as that. You can write on that. It's sewn all the way around. I've just tucked it over the top like that. I've done some stenciling here. Again, the punch. I stamped here. Here's some scrapbook paper that I tore. I stenciled, stamped, stenciled. There's some more scrapbook paper, and I made a pocket out of that, and I used one of my pattern cards to make this. I stitched all the way around, and you can journal on the back if I can get it in. There we go. I know it fit. I've stamped and done some stenciling. I added the faith card from my digital kit, and I used some of my digital items here and created I created this little extra journaling space for you, and it also creates a little tuck. So that's what I did with that. And it's been glued onto scrapbook paper after I stitched it. This is one of my digitals, and this is from the book, and I've added paper and stitched all the way around. You can journal on that. I'm having a hard time getting it in. Here's another one from the book that I've added scrapbook paper paper and stitched all the way around, and this is scrapbook paper. Here is some collaging that I did. There's a bird. There's some cheesecloth. I've left the pocket open for you to do whatever you wish. This has all been stitched all the way around, so you can, and it's been glued onto the scrapbook paper. And here I did a pocket, and I added sari silk and some pearls, an index card, a yellow one, and this is I think this came from a magazine that I loved. And I stitched all the way around, added some paper to the back to strengthen it. And then on top of the index card, I've got Follow Your Soul, It Knows the Way. On this side, I have more of my digitals with the word Inspire. This, I believe, is from the Graphics Fairy. This is a little sort of a bag that I made, and I added this to go inside of it. Fits in the tuck really, or the pocket really well. Here I have added the designer, and I shrunk these down, added some paper, stitched all the way around, added some digitals, also added some digital and some cheesecloth along with this beautiful applique. And you can journal in here. I've done more stamping here. Here I've got a banner. And this I've had for a long time in my stash, so I thought I would include it. I think it's a 7 Gypsies. More scrapbook paper. Here is digital or ephemera that I've printed. Also another tab that I made, and it's got a little jewel hanging from it with a bulb pin. I also did some stenciling here. This is one of my digitals. I made this card, collaged it, and then added paper to the back for you to journal on. This one here, I believe is from the Graphics Fairy, and I added paper on the back, a grid paper, for you to journal on, and sewed all the way around. Excuse me. I added a notes card here for you. That just fits right under the envelope on the other side. That is inked. And you can add whatever you like in there. Here is a couple of my digitals attached to this, and I've done some stenciling. This I've sewn all the way around, attached some coffee or tea-dyed paper. I don't know which is which anymore. Yeah, those are both my digitals. Some stamping, some stenciling, another one of my digitals. This is a flip with the same kind of heart and some cheesecloth. Here is another one of those pattern cards, and I've added it to the scrapbook paper. This was scrapbook paper, a music sheet that was in my scrapbook paper, if that makes sense. Yeah. Here is some more ephemera. This is just another one of those where you can journal on the back. And I've added it over the top. I've stamped, stenciled, punched. Here's a little tuck. I've added a hostess check and a little more ephemera. And here is a little journaling card for you to journal on. I've added another tab and a bulb pin with some jewelry that I made. It's cute. I like it. This is scrapbook paper. This is also one of my digitals. Some ephemera. This was a collaged tag that I made, and this is really quite textured. I put it through the, I forget what it's called. It ripples your paper, and it feels quite ripply. I like it a lot. And I sewed all the way around, added some seam binding to the top, and some dyed paper. Here I've added, to the scrapbook paper, I have added some ephemera and stitched it on. I also have a piece of ephemera inside. More stamping and stenciling. This is from the book. This is a tag I made that I collaged, added a stamp, some cheesecloth, a number, and the bird, a little bit more cheesecloth and some flowers. And I added this to the back for you to journal on. And here on the music paper, I've added a sticker. It kind of went with this. I really like that. And this is again one of my ruffled paper. And I've added paper to the back of that for you to journal on, and I've stitched all the way around. Here is a pocket that I made and added a tag. I collaged it on, add the word serenity and this butterfly. You open this up, it's scrapbook paper, and here I've added scrapbook paper, some cheesecloth, some ribbon, and then this ribbon I weaved through the hearts, and I added these papers for you to journal on. And here is another page that is much of the same, except this has threads that I've added, some lace, some papers for you to write on, and I've glued that. I sewed that all, and then I glued it onto the scrapbook paper. And here is a flip. This is Graphics Fairy that I've added to some lined paper on the back. And over here is the last page. I added this beautiful applique, and I collaged this tag, and I just put it in like that. And back here I added more for you to journal on. This is from the book, and I stitched all the way around and added paper to the back to strengthen it. So that's my journal. Oh, and I've added my name. So that's my journal, and it should be in my Etsy store sometime today, tonight, and it'll be called Adored. So thank you very much for watching. Bye now.